Have you ever looked at a map and thought about Greenland? This massive island, mostly covered in ice, might seem remote, but it's quickly becoming a critical flashpoint in global politics. We're talking about a quiet but intense struggle between the United States and Europe, specifically the European Union, and it could reshape everything from NATO's future to global markets. This isn't just about a snowy landscape. It's about rare earth minerals, strategic military positioning, and the future of the Arctic. So, how did this icy giant become the center of a geopolitical chess match? Let's dive in. For centuries, Greenland has been tied to Denmark, making it a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. But here's the twist. While Denmark is in the European Union, Greenland is not. It left the EU's predecessor back in 1985 over fishing disputes. This unique status has created a fascinating political grey area. Greenland is largely self-governing, but its defense and foreign policy are still handled by Copenhagen. This setup has worked for a long time, but now two major forces are pulling Greenland in opposite directions: the United States and the European Union. Let's start with the American interest. The US has had a military presence in Greenland since World War II, with Thule Air Base being a cornerstone of its early warning missile defense system. But recently, Washington's interest has skyrocketed. Why? Three big reasons: China, Russia, and resources. The Arctic is warming, opening up new shipping lanes and making its vast, untapped resources more accessible. Russia is rapidly militarizing its Arctic coastline, and China has declared itself a near-Arctic state, eager to invest in mining and infrastructure across the region, including Greenland. For the US, a strong foothold in Greenland is non-negotiable. It's about projecting power in the high north and keeping rivals in check. A few years ago, the idea of the US buying Greenland was floated and widely ridiculed. But behind that headline-grabbing move was a serious strategy. The US reopened its consulate in Nuuk, Greenland's capital, after it had been closed for decades. It has also been pouring millions into civilian aid projects, things like education, tourism, and energy. This is classic soft power. The message is clear. America is here to be Greenland's primary partner, offering economic prosperity and security. Now let's look at the European side of the equation. The EU sees Greenland as part of its own strategic backyard. Even though Greenland isn't a member, its connection to Denmark makes it part of the European family. Brussels has been waking up to the geopolitical game being played on its northern flank. The EU has its own Arctic strategy, and it's increasingly concerned about being sidelined by American and Chinese maneuvering. If Greenland drifts too far into the US orbit, it could weaken Europe's influence in a region that's becoming vital for climate science, resources, and security. The EU is countering the American charm offensive with its own offers of partnership. They've established an EU office in Nuuk and are emphasizing shared values, sustainable development, and a rules-based approach to the Arctic. The EU is essentially telling Greenland, we offer a different kind of partnership, one based on multilateral cooperation, not just bilateral security deals. They are framing it as a choice between the American model of direct influence and the European model of collaborative partnership. For Brussels, keeping Greenland aligned with Europe is crucial for the EU's ambition to be a serious global geopolitical actor. So you have these two giants, the US and the EU, both vying for influence. But what does Greenland itself want? This is where it gets really interesting. Greenland's population is less than 60,000 people, but they have big ambitions for full independence from Denmark. To achieve that, they need a strong economy. Right now, their economy relies heavily on fishing and a substantial annual subsidy from Denmark. The key to economic independence lies buried beneath the ice, a wealth of rare earth minerals. These are the elements essential for everything from smartphones and electric cars to advanced military hardware. This mineral wealth is both a blessing and a curse. It's Greenland's ticket to independence, but it also attracts the attention of global powers. The government in Nuuk is walking a tightrope. They need foreign investment to develop their mining sector, but they are wary of becoming a pawn in a larger geopolitical game. They've welcomed American investment, but have also been cautious, for example, by blocking a Chinese-backed company from a mining project over security concerns. They are trying to balance their economic needs with their political autonomy, all while navigating the complex relationship with their old colonial power, Denmark. The tension is palpable. When the US offers aid directly to Greenland, it can be seen as undermining Denmark's authority, and by extension, Europe's role. This creates friction within NATO, an alliance where both the US and Denmark are key members. Some in Europe worry that the US is pursuing an America First policy in the Arctic, prioritizing its own strategic interest over alliance cohesion. If the US and EU are competing for influence in Greenland, how can they effectively cooperate on broader Arctic security against threats from Russia and China? It puts NATO in a very awkward position. This competition also has huge implications for global markets. The world's supply of rare earth minerals is currently dominated by China. A new, stable, and Western-aligned source of these minerals in Greenland would be a game changer. It could break China's monopoly and reshape global supply chains for the entire tech and defense industries. That's why companies and governments from around the world are watching Greenland so closely. The outcome of this geopolitical tug-of-war will directly impact the availability and price of materials that power our modern world. Whoever becomes Greenland's primary partner will hold immense leverage. So what's the endgame? Will Greenland pivot towards the United States, drawn by promises of security and major investment? Or will it stick with its European neighbors, preferring the EU's collaborative model and its historical ties to Denmark? Or will it manage to carve out a third path, skillfully playing the giants off against each other to maximize its own sovereignty and economic gain? The government in Nuuk is becoming increasingly sophisticated in its foreign policy, learning to leverage its strategic position for its own benefit. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. Greenland is no longer a forgotten outpost. It is a central piece on the global chessboard. The decisions made in Nuuk, Washington, Brussels, and Copenhagen in the coming years will have far-reaching consequences. They will test the strength of the transatlantic alliance, influence the balance of power in the rapidly changing Arctic, and determine who controls the resources that will fuel the 21st century economy. The quiet competition over this giant icy island could very well be one of the most defining geopolitical stories of our time. It's a high-stakes game where the ice is melting and the competition is heating up. Thanks for watching. If you found this look at the geopolitics of Greenland interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. Let us know in the comments what you think the future holds for Greenland. See you next time.